who made it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nature's Calls podcast. I'm your host, Nature Erdman, here with Stephen the Glove Glover, and we missed you. It was a rough week taking a week off, you know? I mean,
It was.
that was hard times, you know, not having any responsibilities for a week. All I could think about is talking to you guys, so we're excited to be back.
It's good to be back. We're back.
And the biggest thing, we actually decided to take a week off because it didn't really fall in line with finishing the pro days. And we really felt like the next aspect that we wanted to talk about was how the pro days fell out. There was obviously certain prospects that skipped the combine, certain prospects that we were hoping to be healthy by the pro days and things like that, players that we were looking to see. And yeah, just seeing how they kind of handled things and pivoted moving forward. So a couple risers, surprisers, and of course a couple fallers that we want to talk about today, and then a couple of our favorites. So, but before we get into any of that, let's talk about the stars of the shows. You want to talk about the QBs? Quarterbacks. Number one, Caleb Williams. Everybody's number one. He looked the part.
Still threw the ball well.
It didn't surprise me. It didn't disappoint me. I mean, again, pro days for quarterbacks, I think, are a lot more about interviews than anything else, similar to the combine. But realistically, you should be able to hit receivers in stride. Like, you shouldn't be having these issues. And I actually understand it more at the combine because these are people you have no rapport with. You don't really know their speed. You don't know how their body control is, anything like that. And so when you're throwing at your guys, you should be able to make those throws.
Pro days for quarterbacks is just like sitting. It's like watching Steph Curry in an open gym.
It's a media day.
Yeah. I'm just shooting 3-pointers, but I'm going to hit every one of them.
Yep.
And you know I'm going to hit it. And
Absolutely.
we're surprised that shouldn't be surprised that I'm hitting it. I think the only thing for me for pro days outside of interviews is how they interact at their pro day. Like watching Caleb Williams walk into his pro day and like see Keenan Allen like be looking around and kind of was just like, this is what it is. Like, I don't really care kind of deal. It was a little bit more surprising, but I mean, we want to see what kind of fatigue they're going to have throwing the ball 70 times, 75 times, because you got warm-ups in the NFL pregame, throwing at home, throwing before you get there, throwing at warm-ups, and then throwing in the game too. So.
And throwing while you get hit by 300-pound men.
It's a little different.
It's different than 100 or 210-pound 19-year-olds coming off the edge. Like, it's different.
Yeah.
It feels different when Khalil Mack hits you than Braden Fisk hits you.
But with Caleb Williams, it was all about, and same thing because they're comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. It's like, what are these arm angles that he's not throwing at these pro days?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want to see, though. You want to see when he has Bryce Huff from the Philadelphia Eagles, who just got signed, coming down the barrel, and he has to throw a sidearm 12-yard dig to...
Yep. It's that... Yeah, it's playing off the cuff. It's making magic.
Yeah.
The Mahomes magic, as everybody talks about. And, like, you see it a little bit with Caleb. I don't know if we'll see it at the NFL level. That's something that's really difficult to translate because, like, okay, you're playing against better defenders, but you're also playing with better weapons. Right. It's hard to tell. I will say the Keenan, like, most of his interviews and everything else and the videos that he's done and the picture that was surfacing everywhere, this painted nails and lip gloss or whatever, that bothers me 0%.
Yep.
Him not acknowledging Keenan because he is his teammate was off-putting to me.
Yep.
If he genuinely didn't see him, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just weird because he was right there.
Yeah.
I know Keenan was trying to be incognito. He wasn't incognito.
Bears gear with an assistant hanging out.
And he had a big old Keenan Allen beard
Yeah.
just chilling. Like, it's like James Harden hiding in a different, like, it's there's no way. The beard is recognizable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was off-putting to me, but again, like, it didn't.
But I mean, Caleb Williams did what he did, and I think for me, it did change what Caleb Williams looked like in my eyes. What he did at the pro day in his interviews, it just made him more of like a real life person because he started addressing things that he wasn't addressing at the combine. He wasn't as off putting as he was at the combine. For me. So it made me. For me, it definitely solidified that he deserves to be the one because of what he's done previously. I still like Jaden Daniels more than I like him as a pro, but that's just kind of how it felt for me. But I mean, Jaden Daniels.
I think
segue into that. He threw really well, but he's throwing to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. So pro days, but I think when we talked about his deep ball last time, how underrated it was, it was definitely on display when he's in the open gym at his pro day. Like,
Absolutely. And, like, he can spin it. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't... Like, he can spin it for his size and stature, but that's still my concern for Jaden Daniels is his size and stature. Like, he's a little small. He's real slight. His play style is so not run centric, but when he runs the ball, he's so aggressive in the way that he runs the ball. And I watched Anthony Richardson, who's built like Cam Newton, go out there and do that and died for the season.
Yeah.
I think Jaden Daniels might actually die.
Let's hope not. But they said the same thing about Lamar Jackson because you look at that slender frame. They also called him a receiver, and I remember his first interview after his MVP he was not bad for a running back.
Yep.
Like he's just. I mean, he said it again because that's what everybody kept saying.
Yeah.
Can he do it? We believe he can. Did he do it in college and did it really well? But remember that Jaden Daniels played for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any season-ending injuries.
Do you remember? But do you remember him being special at FSU?
Jaden Daniels?
Yeah.
He was at Arizona.
Or Arizona State? Sorry.
Yeah. All right.
It's
No,
that
but
same color scheme, bro. It
Yeah,
throws me off.
I think that special is relative. He wasn't on our radar, so knowing what special like at that time for us was a little different. Herm Edwards did, and he was an NFL coach. So, and all it takes is one person to believe in you when it comes to something like that. So, I mean, but Jaden Daniels showed out and won a Heisman. So, who are we to sit here and judge what that looks like? I'm agreeing with you. We said the same thing about Bryce Young in terms of size and stature.
Yep.
It was the same knock on Russell Wilson when he came out because he wasn't that tall either.
Yep.
Same thing with Drew Brees being under 6 feet. So you got people with size. I mean, Kenny Pickett didn't work out because his hands are so small, but
That's
what
why.
it is. I know,
That's
I'm
why
joking.
Kenny Pickett didn't work
I'm
out.
joking. But
Had nothing to do with his ability to read
yeah,
the
no, I'm
defense.
with you with the size and stature for him. But at his pro day, seeing him throw the ball and hitting people in the hands means that he can build a rapport with those receivers. It's about those small intangibles that we don't get to see day to day. That kind of showed out for me, which is the reason why I think Drake May rose his stock too, because he was throwing off-foot 60-yard bombs that I didn't think he had in him.
Yeah, Drake. So Drake May, that's what I thought he had in him. I thought that because I know natural comp is
Justin Herbert.
well. That's so you're either in the Justin Herbert camp or you're in the Mitch Trubisky, Sam Howell camp.
Right.
And I think the correct location for him is in somewhere in between.
Yes.
I think he's a lot closer to Josh Allen in terms of raw abilities and still needs to be coached up. I think that some of those throws, they look like Justin Herbert throws. Like, his arm talent is there.
Yeah.
But, he's a project, and you got to know he's a project going into it. I think he's the same situation as Josh Allen. His ceiling is tremendous. His floor is tremendous.
Yep.
Like, it's just going to be a huge gamble. But we have more experience watching. We've seen more of his tape than we did with Mitch Trubisky, first of all.
Yep.
And Mitch Trubisky didn't look phenomenal. I will never understand that hype. Sam Howell, we had tons of context on him. We were able to see him play. We got to see what he actually looked like, and I think he is the same prospect in the NFL now as he was in college.
Yep.
He still has potential.
Yep.
He still could develop.
Yep.
He's never going to be that athletic freak world beater. So comparing him there, I just think is completely unfair.
Yep.
But I think Drake May is absolutely still a top 3 pick to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. The J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, like, that's where the teardrop was for some people. Like, are they the same, or is J.J. McCarthy's mentality leapfrogging what Drake May has?
Yep.
For me, watching that, it solidified him at 3 for me. Mm-hmm. And anybody moving up and taking J.J. McCarthy is more of they think he can be the guy for them than it is he better than Drake May. Now, all these guys are great. We think they're all great. They're on the topic of conversation for a reason.
They're definitely all NFL quarterbacks.
Yes,
to
absolutely.
me. There's no.
It's up to them on what type of quarterback they're going to
And there's no players in this year, and there's of those top 4 quarterbacks, let's say, including JJ, that I believe don't belong in the NFL. Because there's tons of times where it's like, what do you see there? Like, I remember the
Josh Rosen.
Honestly, the Jared Goff, Carson Wentz draft.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I was like, what? First of all, number 1 pick is a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
Second of all, NFL quarterback was a second question mark for me. So Carson Wentz, I saw the upside huge gamble, huge risk reward type of player. Jared Goff, I'll be honest, I didn't see it. He proved me wrong. I saw a college quarterback. I saw a Brock Purdy, and they can succeed. And honestly, I still think that that's Brock Purdy's comp is Jared Goff. They're the same type of player for me.
Okay.
But they can succeed in the right system and in the right surroundings and scenario.
Yep.
I think J.J. McCarthy can kind of fall into that line. For me, he's still hard to gamble. I still think that his ceiling could be Joe Burrow.
Wow.
We haven't seen him. His floor could be Nathan Peterman. Like,
accurate.
like that's just where I sit with J.J. McCarthy. We haven't seen him throw enough.
Is he A.J. McCarron?
All I see is that he was clutch when he needed to be clutch. That matters. I think that matters in the NFL more than a lot of things do. So I still believe that he's an NFL quarterback. I believe he deserves that chance. And then we start getting into the second tier. Got nothing to say about Bo Nix, but I do want to talk about, obviously, Michael Penix's pro day.
Yeah. Michael Penix showed out. You are the front runner, and I can't wait for the receipts to pop up if it does end up happening. But you, will die on the sword the fact that you said that Michael Penix throws the best ball.
Yeah, he does. It's beautiful. There are very few college quarterbacks that I remember competing at a legitimate level or competing in a legitimate conference throw a better ball. Yeah. It's beautiful. And I saw someone arguing the other day, you cannot say that Penix was the most accurate because look at Bo Nix's completion percentage. I don't give a damn about your completion percentage. When you're throwing the ball 30 yards down the field with pressure coming at you, and it is just in the breadbasket like nothing else, it's a beautiful ball, man. That spiral is gorgeous, and he's accurate as hell on those kind of moonshot style. He's not throwing just darts to you real quick. He's not throwing Drew Brees balls. He's throwing deep, gorgeous balls.
I'm with you. I think it speaks more of what Michael Penix has to offer the world than how good Rome Odunze is, because we both are in the Rome Odunze is not the guy.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the breadbasket and you look at film for Rome Odunze, the fact that he's always somebody in his hip, the contested catches the ball placement is way more exciting than the catch that was made.
Every time. And that was something with and we live in Washington State. Please keep this in mind.
Go Dogs all day.
All of our friends, including him, are Dogs fans. And so, we watched a lot of Huskies football. Everyone we know watched a lot of Huskies football. We've seen the tape. We know what it was. Rome Odunze, if you look at his highlight reel, he does cool things, and his hands are late, and it's sick. Mm-hmm. He's not a wide receiver for one. Anyway, that's not the point. Yeah. Michael Penix made him have the season that he did.
Agreed. And because of how much of a freak athlete he is, don't know that he has that arm. Him being a lefty is an issue for some people. Mm-hmm. Also, the fact that he ran a 4.56 tells me how athletic he still is. And then he went out there and did the vertical anyway at 36.
Yep.
I think he's trying to show that his body's ready to go. Because if he had not had these injury concerns, we would be talking about him going second.
Absolutely.
Over Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely.
Because I thought he should have won the Heisman over Jaden.
Or if he didn't shit the bed in the natty.
I think it's because of that injury, and I do think it's not just one person, because I think if we didn't let them run the ball at the beginning of the game, those 2 touchdowns by Donovan Edwards just broken down plays that Braylon Trice should have held the edge a lot better. Because you see him just absolutely dropping down draft boards, but
totally. But I also agree. I think that's why he went out and did the show that he did. I think he was really trying to prove to people it's not hey, I'm an athlete.
A few moments later.
Wrap up Michael Penix. I think it was all about him showcasing the fact that hey, I'm not still hurt. Similar to Peyton Wilson's situation, I still do have that athleticism. I'm still able to ball out, even though that's not my style anymore because he did run so much before his injuries. I'm a pocket passer now, but I still can move when I need to. But with Michael Penix, the one thing I do want to touch on is I think the national championship held so much stock this year. Mm-hmm. I think if he wins the national championship, we're now arguing with him in that Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix conversation, and he's probably wide receiver 4 off the board. And J.J. McCarthy's closer to that Spencer Rattler conversation. Yeah. So I think that, again, showcasing you have that winning gene, that clutch genetic
Yeah.
matters a lot. And I think that really hurt his draft stock the same way that it helped JJ McCarthy's draft stock.
I think the fact that they went through all that, he's gone through all that adversity with all the injuries and everything like that. Coming back from losing a national championship, it's just, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I want nothing but the best for Michael Penix, and I think he did shoot himself up from second round to definitely being a first rounder. Someone will take that trade back into the first round.
Yep, 31 or 32. I don't know if
And
the
come
Chiefs
again.
are willing to trade back, so I think you got to hit the Niners at 31.
Depends, and I'll take my bold take that the Giants trade back up and pair him with Romo Dunze in the bottom of the first round.
Yep, if he falls, man, I mean, the question is the Broncos. Can they let him fall without a second round pick, or do they reach for him? Or do they get a trade back opportunity?
Or they take Bo Nix.
He feels like Sean Payton's guy. Something about that is just a gut
You
feeling.
got no disagreement at this point.
Also, I'm a Chargers fan, so maybe I just hope they take Bo Nix. And I'm also a Ducks fan. Bo Nix had a great college career.
Right. I don't know, man. They see the Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase thing happen, and I do think that if they do take Romo Dunze at 6, and they do have more,
They jump back up
they
and
jump
they go
back
for
into the first
Penix.
round if Penix is there.
I don't hate
and they
that.
build around Daniel Jones, but if Penix is there, I think they'll take that 5th year and then see you later.
And that's a
Daniel
quarterback
Jones.
competition that you're okay with.
Not even then, because his neck injury and his ACL tear, it's half the season already.
That's fair.
At $47.8 million, I don't think they got enough. I don't think, based on the capital they're giving him, he doesn't have that much time left. And I think
Yeah.
after this year, they can get out of that contract.
And I don't think if Penix gets starts, I don't think that he gives up that job. I don't think it happens. I think he's just purely the better quarterback. I think, again, my comp for him is somewhere between Phillip Rivers and Kirk Cousins.
Or he can be like a more refined Tyrod Taylor.
Ooh, I like that. That's good. Let's get off quarterbacks. We're supposed to touch on them. That was a really long touch. Let's talk risers. So I don't think there's any question where we jump in on this with. I think it's Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors, hands down.
Yeah.
I think because we're tied to him so much that at that pick 5, because of MHJ being the guy, I think Malik Neighbors, a 42-inch vertical, 4.35 unofficial, but it looked like
People are
4.29
talking
to
about
me.
it being a 4.28, man.
It looked like 4.29 to me. I got no argument here, but I think he set himself apart with what he did at LSU's Pro Day. I'm kind of glad he didn't do it at the Combine. I think I would prefer that he did it at a Pro Day because of the fact that he has his quarterback. He has the timing down with his quarterback. He knows the area. It's not in that like just awkward scenario of the Combine that he gets to feel 100% comfortable in what he's doing. I think watching him run that 40 and then doing the vertical stuff, and I think he put himself in that category that some people even like him over MHJ.
Which I get. And I'll stand on this all day long. I think Neighbors is the better year one receiver than MHJ. I really do. I think what he does, and honestly, he's my safest floor receiver. I think that he is a surefire, bona fide, blue chip wide receiver in the NFL. I think what he does translates better than any other thing, and that's create separation.
Okay.
He's so twitchy. He's so aggressive. He's Brandon Ayuk with a jetpack. He's just the way he creates separation so quickly is so impressive, and the way he loses guys at the line of scrimmage without contact is so impressive. MHJ just has that ridiculous ceiling that you have to chase.
Yeah.
So I understand that comparison at all completely. My biggest thing with the Pro Day is the measurement, because I heard for the last 3 months that Malik Neighbors is 5'11", and that everybody's a liar on their stat sheets. Measuring at 6'1.5".
Let me see what it says on his driver's license. No, 6'1.5". I'm down.
Do they even measure you at your driver's license? They just ask me.
They ask you.
He's 6'4" on his driver's license. but no, 6'1.5", running that speed, 199 pounds. You got solid frame.
I'm for it.
I'm so for it. Like I can't say no to MHJ at 5 if he's there. If he's gone at 4 and we take Neighbors at 5,
Happy.
thrilled.
Ecstatic.
And not only that, then I never have to second guess if we made the right choice. So I'm thrilled at that point. I'm just
We
happy
don't have
that
to go through the denial, but we do have a
man,
track
if he
record
was
of
there,
drafting
should we have had
somebody
him? No,
right.
he was there.
I don't know. You asked me earlier. Is it Jamar Chase? Is it Jamar Chase or Malik Neighbors for you?
It's Malik Neighbors for me. I don't know how I would break the tie had Jamar Chase had not had the COVID year the last year and chosen to sat out.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, if that would be my tiebreaker for sure, and it would go to Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I still would have to take Jamar Chase on that. I think he's too much of a freak in every other aspect. I just seen him get too many contested catches and do some intermediate stuff that I haven't seen Malik Neighbors do yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he can't do that. I just can't wait to see him.
Yeah,
on a football.
He just reminds me so much of T.O., dude. Like he just does.
Okay. T.O.'s a Hall of Famer. I'm taking that
I
at
know.
5. I'll take that at 5.
I'll take that at 5.
Keep going.
I'll take that at 5. I'll take that at 1,
Yeah.
bro. Like
Hey, we do really well at 5.
we do really well at 5.
Keep picking it 5.
Yeah, I like 5.
Keep picking it 5.
Yeah. Well,
Listen.
let's hopefully not keep picking it 5.
I guess I missed.
But let's
one,
keep
yeah.
this
Yeah.
going at least.
Yeah, let's not pick it 5 for another 15 years, and I'd be happy with
Just
it.
an absolute dog. What did you think about his interviews?
I think they were great.
Or at least the public ones that they had, obviously not private interviews.
I don't know. The public ones were cool. I think that he shed a little bit of light on how he thinks, which was nice. But I think he's a little bit more of a team guy than I thought he was too. So
Yep.
I'm actually really excited about how he was pumping up other people in certain interviews. So
I did find it funny. He did say enthusiasm twice in that short little snippet, and I was just like, "Oh, you're attacking the day with enthusiasm, are you? Like, where do you want to go, buddy?" I think we're picking up on that.
Yeah, we know what you want.
Yeah.
Come on.
Another big riser at wide receiver position. And he's already high, but Lad McConkey.
Lad McConkey keeps surprising me.
We keep in mind we hated Lad McConkey.
Oh, absolutely despised him.
I said he was a thicker Hunter Renfro, and now
That's
I'm kind of
exactly
like,
what he was.
I kind of want a thicker Hunter Renfro. Like, if we don't go wide receiver early, if we trade back and we take a corner at 11 or something like that, and we're sitting at 23, obviously I'd love to fill the 37, but if we're at 23 and receivers are flying, and I just want a safety net for Justin Herbert, Lad McConkey feels like a really good safety net to me.
Especially with us not having that safety net at tight end.
Absolutely.
I don't think Hayden Hurst is that guy. They're both blockers. Hayden Hurst can catch the ball if he needs to.
And so can Will Dissly. I think
he needs
that's their position in this offense is like, we're gonna disguise a tight end play because we haven't thrown the football to the tight end in 3 games. Like, that's how I see it. Like, these are tight end rollouts in the red zone to catching up unsuspected
Hayden Hurst and
touchdown.
Will Disley have 54 targets all season.
Yeah, that's
Together.
perfect. That's their role. It's their role. And so yeah, in that sense, I like Matt Lad McConkey a lot. I still think that like Wes Welker's is ceiling, like that's what you're looking at.
I do think it's a little bit better than that. I
think he's more complete?
I think he's a little bit more complete. I do think that he didn't get... I mean, it's the same thing with J.J. McCarthy. Just we didn't get to see it because of the offense they were in.
Yeah.
Same thing with Lad McConkey. Is Lad McConkey the next Cooper Kupp is my question. And the only reason I say this is because listen to his... So his shuttle was a 4.04. Cooper Kupp was a 4.08. Chase was a 3.99. J.J. was a 4.43.
Damn.
Okay?
397.
Three cone, 6.72. 3 cone for Cooper Kupp was 6.75. Jamar Chase was 6.96. And Adam Thielen, who I wanted to compliment to as well, was a 6.77. He ran faster than all 3 of those people.
He ran a 6.7. Thielen ran a 6.77?
6.77 to 3 cone.
I didn't think he ran that well. Damn, he is shifty.
So we're talking different dynamics, measurables for, I mean, Cooper Kupp, Hall of Famer. Justin Jefferson's on his way. Jamar Chase. Adam Thielen, who we called Mr. Reliable, was just one of those guys that was always open. Is that Lad McConkey?
Right.
I think if he is what he's showing as measurables and on paper and his pro day and at the combine and at Georgia, and Scout's just saying this, is this floor Adam Thielen and the ceiling's Cooper Kupp?
I think you're much more reasonably ceiling Cooper Kupp. Obviously, that prototype of that position at that point is Cooper Kupp. More likely to me is Adam Thielen.
Okay.
I think his floor is closer to a Braxton Berrios.
What? 39 targets a year and he returns a punt?
A Hunter Renfro?
Okay. With Derek Carr, I guess I would take that. But I just, as we're talking about risers, because we can comp him all day.
That's a solid floor. And don't get me wrong. Like, I know it's obviously not nice when you're talking about, oh, let's get excited about this pick.
Yeah.
If my floor is someone who belongs in the NFL
I'm fine with it.
I'm not thrilled with it, but because we're trading back, it's almost a free pick to some extent. Like, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell and Lad McConkey or Malik Neighbors. I think I still lean Malik Neighbors.
Absolutely.
However, if that's what the new regime wants to do, I'm not mad about it.
No, because right now we got to ride the wave.
We got to ride the wave. We got to fill holes.
Yeah. But Lad McConkey did put himself in that scenario, that situation to kind of come up, and I don't know. I would hate to see Kansas City take him. I think they want a big body guy. I think they're more of a Xavier
so
Legette
too.
if they don't trade out. But if Lad McConkey's back there, or Keon Coleman is who I got the Chiefs taking. But Lad McConkey just looks like a safety net, like a reliable guy.
Yep.
And that's what we lost in Keenan Allen. And we're hoping Josh Palmer is that guy. Remember, I love Josh Palmer.
Keep in mind, it's Monday, April 1st.
Yeah.
It's April Fool's Day. I had to really think through it there. But yeah, Monday, April 1st. So yesterday, the Rashee Rice incident happened.
Right.
So that does add question marks for me. I think he's going to get like a 10-game suspension and go right back to the NFL. He's probably going to get it appealed to 6. Either way. But
6 to 4.
does that affect the Chiefs' draft plans at wide receiver? I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason I think they want that big-bodied, has burner ability. I think Keon Coleman, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy are their guys, probably in that order.
Xavier Worthy will not be there.
I don't think Xavier Worthy will
No,
be there.
because I will trade up for the Chargers to go
At
take
31 to go get Xavier Worthy.
to go get him.
Give Malik Neighbors, Xavier Worthy, Quentin Johnson rides the pine.
You can
something.
have my wife and my house. You can have my daughter for 31. Sorry, sweetheart. I love you. I didn't mean that.
He's on that Kool-Aid, bro. Speaking of Kool-Aid,
Yeah.
447. Whew. With a Jones fracture in his foot. Flying. 34 and a half, and then 10-1. 10-1 on Broad. That's better than I thought. I think it's funny because Kool-Aid McKinstry was like CB1 at the start of the college season, at the end of last season, and the question marks started coming out of nowhere because of Terrion Arnold being a slot receiver in my mind. That's beside the point. Playing so well last year. Kool-Aid not necessarily looking like a freak athlete. Does he have that athletic traits? Does it translate? I didn't really necessarily get that, but the further he wanted to fall, the happier I am. I'm all cool with that.
Oh, yeah.
Also, turns out Kool-Aid McKinstry's a freaking athlete.
Yeah.
Like, he's a freak athlete doing that with and again, he didn't even know he had the fracture in his foot, so it's not like it's really affecting his performance that much. I hope there's complications with the surgery and he's going to miss the first 3 weeks of the NFL season and he's going to fall to 37. Like, that's where I'm at now.
That's where I'm hoping. Yeah, I think you're right on par with that. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry put me to sipping the Kool-Aid because I was not about it because of the injury. And I didn't think he had those measurables, but I mean, even with the injury, he showed out like that. Like, what does he do when he's healthy?
Yeah.
But then we have to keep him healthy because, I mean, Julio Jones battling that same injury, other people with that
Absolutely.
same injury.
Take it slow.
Take it slow, take your time, get him healthy, but if that's not a 11-23 guy for me if he's still not healthy. Even with upside.
If he's still not healthy.
Even with upside, I can't do it.
At 23, it would be hard for me to say no to if everybody else is gone.
Depending on what we did at 11. And this is if we traded with the Minnesota Vikings for the 11-23 for them to move up to 5. But
if he's there at 37, I'm sprinting to the podium all day long.
Yep. Colton in.
Cooper DeJean and Kool-Aid are both there at 23.
Cooper DeJean.
Okay.
Because of his flexibility at safety. I think
so too.
I think he's an all-pro safety, but he could be a starting corner.
If we didn't have Derwin James, and I didn't think Derwin James was going to play a lot of linebacker, I would probably say Kool-Aid. But because Cooper DeJean, I think, is literally the perfect complement to Derwin, and the fact that he can switch between the two, and Derwin can switch between linebacker and safety, Cooper can switch between safety and corner. I just think it's too unique of a weapon setup to say no to.
He would never come off the field. He'd never come on the field. But, I mean, in terms of the, as you said, Kool-Aid, I want to talk about Kamari Lassiter and Javon Bullard.
Yes.
All looked great at their pro day at Georgia. They all looked good. I think Bullard, for me, has moved up significantly because of how fluid. I think he's one of the smoothest people out there in drills. He did it at their pro day. He did it at the combine, and I thought he looked a whole lot better than the other ones. Lassiter is definitely a little bit more of a corner and Bullard's that safety that we do need.
Yep.
I wouldn't be mad if we took both of them, if we had the capability of taking both of them, if we ended up moving down far enough and then taking those
picks
in the second round. But I think they both look great. I think Lassiter just kind of put himself up there a little bit more than like Killigrew was the corner from Missouri.
Chris Abrams-Drain. Or,
And the other one.
what am I spacing on this?
Uh,
And it's Rakestraw?
Yeah, Rakestraw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he jumped up over them. So, I mean, I think I got a little bit more for them, but I think they both look great.
I think I still lean Rakestraw over Lassiter just because I like his physicality and his ability to stop the run in this defense. But I still really like Kamari Lassiter, so I'm okay with that play as well. As far as Javon Bullard, I still think he's the best true safety in this class, where the other people at the top of the list are kind of tweeners. And where do you play them best? I think if you want somebody who's a plug-and-play free safety, day one, Javon Bullard's your best bet. I still have my concerns that he's being overvalued because of this class of safeties that we have. I think safeties are going down in that position like linebacker is, where we're just not seeing the level of players coming out of college that we used to because of the way college defense is played. So that's a concern for me. But I think Javon Bullard is a surefire. Like, if he's there at 69 and we take him, I wouldn't be unhappy about it.
I think he's this year's
a
Brian
second
Branch
pick,
for
though.
me.
Really?
I think he's this year's Brian Branch for me.
I think he's a second round pick for sure. I think he's a middle to bottom of the second, and I think he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, I think he's this year's Brian Branch for me.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple.
Um,
And and then we talk about the other guys, but like when you talk about Kool-Aid, Alabama guys are always coached well. So
Yep.
That's those transition. Georgia's is almost the same thing.
Same thing.
So we got, I mean, in terms of our risers, like we got guys that are already well coached.
Yeah.
We just need.
They're just guys that answered questions. They just answered the questions that I needed answered at their pro days. I think I'm good on risers, really, man. Like we'd already talked about combine. I think that wraps it up for me. Anybody else you got?
No, on that one.
All right. Disappointments. Oof. I'll kick it off. I'll go Jatavian Sanders because it's so obvious. 8 reps on the bench. At 5 years ago, I could do 8 reps on the bench at 225. I wasn't a college athlete. And not only that, 30-inch vert, 9 foot, 9'6" broad jump, I think. Somewhere in that, like, definitely not close to 10 feet. For his size and what he does and how poorly he blocks, the whole idea was that he's got a complete route tree and he's an athlete.
He did run really well in terms of routes.
Yeah.
But other than that, so did Gerald Everett. But he still had bricks for hands. So I think that's one of my comp is for him. And even then, why? Why take the gamble?
Yeah.
And for the hype, for what his draft capital's at. I mean, if I saw him in the 7th round, absolutely take that shot. But there's no way in God's green earth that I can take that shot in 2 or 3.
And it's just, the college production is there, and college production is usually the number one thing that I will plant my flag on as far as like, hey, all else fails, the tape is good and the college production is there. I go back and I watch it, the tape is okay, and the college production feels like it happened because of Jonathan Brooks and Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. Like, I felt like he was just the other guy, and that helped him just thrive. And so Jatavian Sanders, I was thinking maybe he jumped like legitimately into that tight end 2 conversation again to me if he can answer the questions that he flopped on at the combine, and he just flopped worse. So at this point, I think that Ben Sinnott is firmly my tight end 2, and he's a bottom of the 3rd rounder for me.
Oh, Ben Sinnott's your love of your life.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But now I don't feel bad saying it. Who do you got?
I got Braylon Allen. I think that for me, I think he needed to run a 40. I think this is more of a business decision. And it's more of I'm disappointed than I am thinking that his draft stock is falling down. Like, talk about a way that you can raise your draft stock, and knowing like running backs out there were so limited in terms of what they have to offer.
Yep.
You took it upon yourself to not run the 40, but do everything else.
And that's what's weird is like, it's one thing if like you're Marvin Harrison Jr.
Different.
Like, I don't need to do this,
No.
and I'm not going to train for this
Didn't even
because
show
I'm
up.
training. Yeah, because I'm training to be an NFL wide receiver. Like, that's one thing. Braylon Allen doing everything besides the 40 is like, what are you hiding,
Yeah,
man?
what
What are
is-
we not seeing?
Yeah, what don't you want us to see? So
Also, if anybody has any Braylon Allen GPS chip tracking numbers for what his top speed was during the college season this year, please tag me in it and let me know.
Love to see it.
I'd love to see it because I'm so curious now because this wasn't a concern for me. Like, did I see him as a burner? No. I didn't see that as a skill set, but I didn't think it was a concern. Now I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm concerned. Like, if he runs slower than Audric Estime, then I got a lot more questions than answers.
Yep.
So when we look at that, like Braylon Allen, for me, he's making really bad business decisions, and that's why he's just dropping down draft boards for me.
Yep.
Because of the fact that you are taking a conscious decision to take money and leave money on the table.
He's moving from like the Marshawn Lloyd tier to me a lot closer to the Isaac Garendo tier for me.
Yep.
Like, that's just where I see him. Like, all of a sudden, it's like, yeah.
If he goes before the 5th round at this point, then I would be shocked because I think he went to a visit and ran a 40 and was okay with it.
Yeah.
But if he runs like a 4.78 40, there's no way.
There's no way. And, like, I think that the way that this draft's going to go is you're going to have a guy go in the bottom of the 2nd. And then you're going to have a couple guys go in the 3rd. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to have a run on the 4th. And so I think he goes in the 4th somewhere, but where? Like,
to the Ravens.
Yeah, like you're in that, and these are again Audric Estime, Blake Corum, guys that I do not like. But at this point, I now assume that he goes after them.
He has to
in that 4th round run
because he didn't run a 40.
Yeah,
because they don't know what he has.
Unless he's doing private workouts, which for anybody curious, he's not, because that's what a pro day is.
Yeah.
Yeah, really disappointing.
Yeah. And it's. Like I said, we'll touch on it one more second. Just for the fact that the running back class, they needed someone to set themselves apart from everyone. Like, even, like, Benson didn't have a pro day. He was like, no, I'm good with the combine numbers.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to leapfrog all those other guys, and you just didn't take it upon yourself.
Yep.
So it's just concerning more than it is disappointing, but it's definitely both.
Who's your RB1 now? Still.
I know I liked Braylon Allen. I think I'm gonna have to switch it up, and I really, 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 really like Jalen Wright.
Ooh, that's good.
Looking at statistics for, I mean, we can talk about it, touch it later, but Jalen Wright just ran the best when he didn't have the perfect blocking and had not.
It was when I found those numbers, I was really impressed. Yeah. I was like,
how high he was.
Well, like on both
yards per carry,
like,
and how many big yards.
Yeah, like when you look at his frame and his size and his running style, it's like, oh yeah, Brian, you let him get in the open, and he's gone.
Yep.
And then you start looking at like what he did on imperfectly blocked runs and how many there were and how he just capitalized on it over and over and over again. That was a huge thing for me. I think
led all college football with runs over 10 yards last year.
I think that jumps him to RB2 for me.
I think
Jonathan Brooks is my RB3.
I think Benson has gone down for me to 3. And I think Brooks, I watched his film again. That's 1,400 yards. And he just,
I don't like him in pass pro, and I know I'm hanging way too much on that, but it bothers me.
His combination of size and speed just gives me a different feeling.
Same top 3 though. I'm glad we're getting to a point where like we're settling in on the same kind of ranges here.
Surprisers?
I've got one more disappointment.
Okay.
Michael Hall Jr. Why do you have to ball out so hard, bro? Like, for you guys who haven't noticed, like, it's not as much that I love Michael Hall as a player, which I do. I just very specifically think he's the perfect fit for this defense.
Absolutely.
I think it's just a plug-and-play day-one guy.
Absolutely.
And you go out there and you run, what was it, 4.76 at 290 pounds. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh man, that's fast. No, Braden Fisk blew the combine off with a 4.78.
Yep.
Everybody was talking about it. It was all over YouTube, all over Twitter, everywhere. He would have beaten his time.
Oh, yeah.
Like with what he ran at the pro day. 33 vert, 9.3 broad at 300 pounds.
Big boy.
Just a big boy. And he looks that strong and that athletic. And I think that...
And it was fluid.
I think he's a perfected version of Chris Jenkins. Like, that's when I watch Chris Jenkins and what he did in Jesse Minter's defense, it's like, oh, imagine if that was Michael Hall.
Can you imagine if we get them both?
That'd be sick. Fucking get out of here, Mo Fox.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's I'm so disappointed in that. Yeah. But good for you, Michael
That's a good
Hall.
Disappointment, but don't do it again.
Don't do it again. Surprisers, you shoot.
Ooh, I'm actually gonna take one that like it's just a random one I wanted to throw out there. But I was looking at every team that had a pro day, and Stanford had a pro day, but they only had one person at the pro day. And it was Joshua Cart, a kicker.
Really?
It was kicking 66-yard field goals like it was his job. Like he was hitting 66 yarders at a pro day and was just nailing them. I'm like, okay, is he the next?
I love you, Cam Dicker, but you didn't get that long-term extension, bro. Watch out.
Hey, if he's there at 6, pull the trigger, but don't do a third round punter like the Patriots.
Bro, Jordan McGee over a kicker. I can't. Sixth rounders still matter for us this year.
Right. We
got
got
holes,
2-7,
bro. We got holes.
Anyway, 66 yards. That was just a surpriser for me. That was just a random one I wanted to throw out there, get some kickers some love. But hitting 6. All right, next Justin Tucker. Let's go.
For me, one of them was Tez Watkins. There's a lot of pre-draft hype for him. A lot of what's happening with Xavier Legette now was happening with Tez a couple months ago. Yeah. A lot of it came down to his athleticism and things like that. Diving into the film, I wasn't super impressed. He was Drake May's only legitimate target, so of course he got that benefit as well. That was always kind of a red flag for me. But at the pro day, man, he caught deep balls well with no defense. Like I can't say anything else that he did well for me. So it's a disappointment, but more so like because I didn't have high expectations for him. The fact that he didn't do more and get talked about more and showcase his skill set more was surprising to me. I think that he's firmly dropped himself into the Javon Baker team.
I think that's disappointing. Because I'm so high on him.
I know.
You brought him down to that. Is that more on Javon Baker? Okay,
no, man, those are my 4th rounders.
Yeah, I got you. I thought he would have done a little bit more in terms of showing his route running.
That's what I'm saying. I saw none of it, man. You ran posts.
I don't know, with his suspension too at the beginning of last season. I think that there's some off the field and mental, it's not just the physical aspect that they got to make that transition, but it's the mental transition they got to make too. I don't think he's there. And we'll see.
Yep.
It'll show. There's a lot of people throughout the leagues that have just not made that transition. So,
yep.
We'll see what happens. Justin Blackman.
Oof. That was rough.
That was rough.
He looked so good, man. He looked so good. He did. It's the Trent Richardson stuff. You go back, you watch the tape. It still looks good.
Eddie Lacy.
I would still grade them well.
Yeah.
They just did not transition.
Yeah, same thing with Eddie Lacy.
Yeah.
He had 2 really good years and they just kept eating.
Yep.
It's couldn't do it.
It's so sad, man. That rookie season was so ridiculous.
It was, though. Even the second year was really good.
Yep.
But I think I do have a legitimate surpriser. I think Rook Ororo from Clemson is still,
he's still
surprised me at the combine, but, the fact that he went out there and did 29 on the bench at Clemson's pro day just shows me, what he has for strength and what he's going to be offering in the league, because I thought he jumped up from not knowing who he was to now being a legitimately in the first round, second round, or someone might just take that gamble in the first round anyway. But I would love.
He's everything I thought Brandon Dorless was going to be.
Facts.
That's what I look at the size, speed, athleticism, and I see him out there on the field, and it's
Trace.
You were in the Pac-12.
Yep.
And it shows. Yep. And then you go see Rook, and it's even in the ACC, now that I'm seeing you contemporaries by yourself running drills, seeing all these numbers, seeing the way you move, you look hyper athletic for a man of that size. So, got DT6 for you now? Because, you're looking at Johnny Newton, Byron Murphy, and this DT class is crazy.
I told you, I like him better than I like Braden Fisk.
Michael Hall or
Michael
Rook?
Hall 3. I think Michael Hall's pro day. Just
Chris Jenkins or
Rook. I know.
Chris Jenkins or Braden Fisk?
Jenkins.
Braden Fisk, defensive tackle 6.
For me. Sorry, bro.
I get it. He doesn't have bent, and we were having a similar conversation earlier. Chop Robinson, Braden Fisk for me. I don't see you fitting your size at this level. Chop Robinson is somewhere between an edge and a linebacker, and I don't see him excelling it either. No. Braden Fisk is a defensive tackle, defensive end, and I don't see him excelling it either. He's Morgan Fox. We already have one Morgan Fox. Please don't get us another. That being said, if he's there in the middle of the 3rd and everybody else is gone, or the 4th, I'm not mad about Braden Fisk pick.
I'd still rather have Kamara later on.
Yeah, I'd rather have Muhammad Kamara. I love Muhammad Kamara. I can't believe we haven't talked about him today.
But he didn't.
I think we talk about him every day.
Yeah, we didn't do it. He didn't do it.
He didn't do anything.
But shout out anyway because we just hit you regardless.
We love you, Muhammad Kamara. Brian Thomas Jr.
Yep.
Surprised that he didn't. I thought he was going to come out and do some workouts and show off his stuff.
I don't think he needed to.
Nursing an injury. I just don't think that that's his skill set, and he knows it. He knows that Brian Thomas Jr. plays faster with pads on. I can watch him play football and know that.
Also, he played football so much later that you're going to see the holes that you don't need to see. Like the route running, or they're going to ask him to do stuff at a pro day he wouldn't have done at the combine because they wanted everybody doing the same thing. So I think for him, I think that was smart for him to keep him in the first round.
Yep.
At least the in the middle tier of the first round.
He doesn't want to be compared to his contemporaries in that sense.
And
that makes sense.
Even then, like I do think that he needs some intermediate route work. I do think that there's some holes. I do think he can be like a better Anquan Bolding with a little bit more speed.
Yeah.
Because of his size and versatility, but
yeah,
he's got to work on the intermediate stuff.
He reminds me of a early days DJ Moore, when DJ Moore wasn't as crisp and was a little more physical than he is now. I get that. But on that same vein, sad he didn't work out. Big surprise for me was Bucky Irving not rerunning. I thought he created so many questions with his combine performance that choosing to not really resurface those shows more of a concern, similar in the Braylon Allen vein.
Yep.
Like, I thought for sure he's going to go out there and prove that he wasn't feeling his best, and this was the case, and this is a scenario, and it just didn't happen that way. So,
well, some people were on the field fast, other people were track fast, and you showed like some people were track fast.
Yep.
And maybe he's not track fast, but maybe he runs at 40 time in pads like he did, because he was explosive at Oregon. There's no denying on film.
Absolutely.
That he's explosive. But I think he's just going to wait for someone to prove someone wrong, and someone's going to take that gamble later on.
Yep.
And he's going to be a full supporter of that. So I think he's just getting ready to be in the league, and I don't think he was just, I did the combine, so I know how to do a pro day.
Yeah, fair.
Let me get ready for the draft.
I think that he's still a legitimate NFL running back. I just don't know if he's a complimentary running back, or does he have the juice to be an RB1.
Again, you will go to the Colts and be good. That's where I have him going.
Yeah, I mean, I stand by this. I've been saying it for months. I think his ceiling is Alvin Kamara, and I think it's a really good comp as far as the way he catches the ball and the way that he moves in the field. The question is when you get around NFL players, do you still look like that, or do you look like a complimentary back? And we'll see.
Yeah, I think he's more of a Zach Moss to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think he has the physicality to play Zach Moss's game even. So like that's my concern is like he does have bust fast factor. And could be a purely third down guy that's not great in pass pro, which is a concern. Right. You got any more surprisers?
No, I think we hit the surprisers. I think there's going to be more to talk about later on as we get closer to, because you do have Cooper DeJean's going to do his workout 4:15.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to see what that looks like.
Yep.
So we can actually run and do a pro day. I think the surprises, I think there's too many to talk about that we want to. I think there's more.
Don't want to talk about everybody.
Right. So we just want to touch bases on the ones that you guys can talk about, you guys can think about, and people that you probably already have been talking about or seen people talk about. So just touch bases with the people that are just a little bit more popular for that.
Yep, and guys that we didn't have really stand out at the combine either. So it's nice getting a little bit more light shed on some of these guys.
Ooh, I was really happy that Cam Kitchens ran again, and he ran a 4.57.
Yeah.
So he ran better this time, and he was really happy that he ran again.
Because I was surprised that he ran as slow as he did at the combine.
Agreed. So he surprised me in that, and I think that his draft stock was already up there, but then he only did 13 bench, and I was like, okay. I was like, oh, cool, you can play safety, and then okay, you barely beat a lineman.
Kitchens or Nubin?
Nubin
for me too.
Yeah, easy.
Yep. It's not by much.
I think it's.
But I think their player profiles are so similar to me that it's a fun comparison to have.
I think Nubin can match up a little bit more in terms of what his speed.
You think he's got the physicality to kind of do it? That makes
I think
sense.
Kitchens has the physicality. I think he doesn't have the recovery.
Yeah.
So that's where your dynamic's going to be, because he can hit, and I think he can find the ball when his back is to the goalpost. But does he have to watch a quarterback? And I haven't seen that in him.
Fair.
So
Fair.
I don't think he has the eyes to do that. So I think he needs a Derwin or like another guy. I think cover 2, cover 3 is his favorite.
Yep.
But if you got everybody in an all-out man and he's got to cover somebody for 2.5 seconds, it's not.
If you've got to cover one side of the field, and especially if you're looking at a 3-4 and playing Jesse Minter's defense,
Against
I don't
Patrick
trust
Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't trust you having that big of a coverage assignment.
No, we are making these decisions so we can beat Patrick Mahomes.
That's apparently just the goal now.
That's it.
Because that's where we live in this
Well,
world
he went
now.
back-to-back Super Bowls. Super Bowl 3.
No, it's
Super
all
Bowl
about
5.
just stopping it from being 3 at this point. Once we get there, we can start dreaming again, but right now it's just stop them from three-peating.
Yeah.
Risers, surprisers, and fallers. Before we wrap, I want to see who has not moved for you.
So I got day 1, day 2, and then a day. Wait, we got.
Yeah, so give me a first 3 rounds and then give me a late rounds guy.
So I'll give you 2. I have 2 people that I'm not. I think Rook, like I said, it's just.
Yep.
I think it was the risers and surprise. Like he was not a disappointment. That's the only thing he hasn't done for me.
Continue to
Continue
go
to
up
keep
my board.
going. And it's. I think he's got that versatility, and he kind of reminds me of like a Myles Garrett light when it comes to like his build and what he's been doing on the physicality and the workout standpoint. Mm-hmm. Like you see this guy get on there, and you're like, I don't want to mess with him.
No, he looks terrifying.
He does.
He
He's
looks
not a James
terrifying.
Harrison. Because that guy,
That's
you
terrifying. That's like you don't want to run into in an alley.
No.
This guy's like
I don't want to run into you at a Bed Bath and Beyond.
I
Not
don't
even
want to run
Nichols.
into you like at the airport. Like I don't want to. I'm terrified.
Yeah.
Take a picture from a distance and then sprint just in case you saw me take your picture.
Yeah, even if our kids were at a daycare, I'd pull them out. Just out. But with that being said, I think Rook was up there, and then I know I didn't talk about him in the surprisers or risers, but Malachi Corley for me.
Yep,
Definitely
I know
moved up.
you've been talking about him a lot recently.
I think in terms of physicality and what we talk about is we want guys that are when they look at the Chargers, they're scared to play him.
Yep,
And if
you
there
feel
is-
Malachi Corley next
that.
week. Like
Yeah.
next week, you're still feeling like, man, he was hitting me.
Yeah, like especially these corners. Like
Yep.
the way he stacks up to the corners now, like not everybody's 6'2", 6'3". You still got 5'11", 5'10" guys at $154, $187. I think L'Jarius Sneed was like a $108, like a 189. Mm-hmm. And then Malcolm Corley's out here at 205, and he's running. If he wants to run through you, I'm down for that.
Yeah, he gives me like what I love about like elite tight ends. He gives me as a slot receiver.
Yes.
So like he's too physical, and tight ends they're too big for corners. He's too physical for corners, and he's too fast for linebackers.
Yep.
And so I do like Corley. My guy in that kind of same tier has been Taj Washington, and I did miss him on my fallers. Him just not really showing out. Like his shuttle time and his 3-cone were real nice, but still measuring in at that 5'10". His wingspan measuring in at 5'10", not really improving any of his times, not showing out for me. I still think he's a really legit receiver, and I think he's still going to fall, but he didn't raise his stock for me. So I want to point that out. But did you have a
And then
day 3 guy? Day 3 guy.
Yeah, day 3. I got the same two. The Tortellini, which I gave you that name on. So I'll talk to that too.
Tanner Bortolini.
Tanner Bortolini, the center for Wisconsin. I know you've been going up draft boards. You haven't really changed for me, but I think you're still great. I think he's a great fill guy for the future with us getting a gap with Bozeman. And then Cam Hart, I liked you before at Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. I think you're just one of those athletic specimens that needs to be coached up because you didn't have all the snaps and all the football. Like you started football late, but at 6'2", 200 pounds, and you still run a 4.5 40. I'm all for that in terms of what you can do converting from safety to corner. And I do think that you had the footwork and you look fluid when you were doing some of the drills and that. I haven't come off you at all, so I'm all for that.
Absolutely. For me, I only had 2, man. I was like a day 1, day 2 guy and a day 3 guy. He got 4, so I got to think. Johnny Newton for me is 1. Like Johnny Newton is a surefire top 10 pick grade wise in my mind. Yep. And so if he falls into that mid round and we are in a trade back scenario, I would freak out at 23. Like Byron Murphy, take all the smoke. Look like a stud. Like I'm all for it. Like especially with Michael Hall not going to fall anymore. It doesn't look like Johnny Newton is just. I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's a complete defensive tackle. He plays so much bigger than his size, right. And I think he's gonna just succeed at the next level.
So did Aaron Donald.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not Aaron Donald. We cannot compare him to a 3-time defensive player in the year in the row. But anyway, if I'm going to throw a second early day guy in there, I still really love Peyton Wilson. In all of his combine testing and everything else, he has not really changed in position for me, which is right in that 45 range, and I love him at that range. I think he could have played himself into the first round. I still see him as an early day 2. I wish I could justify taking him at 37 with our holes, but I just can't. So, love you, Peyton Wilson. I don't think you're going to be a Charger ever. Like, go be a Viking or something. It just makes sense for them. But But yeah, it sucks that you're not going to be part of our team, but I love Peyton Wilson's game.
Yeah.
My later day guys, Dylan McMahon in like the 6th round, NC State, center this year, left guard the year before, right guard the year before that. So again, we've mentioned it on the pod before, he continued to change positions based off of need and continued to excel at them. He was never like grooming to go into another position. That flexibility I love, especially as my backup center or my possible future center.
Right.
And so I really like that Dylan McMahon. Of course, Hunter Norzad, but it seems like he's picking up too much steam and he's looking like he's going to go in the 4th. Really late guy, like last pick of the draft for us, I still like Easton Gibbs.
Yep.
Easton Gibbs out of Wyoming.
Still good. I watched his pro day.
His game's so unique and odd for the NFL, but again, my player comp for him has always been Denzel Perryman. The fact that we have Denzel Perryman back. I think he's just a great fit in that role for us.
Yeah.
And to possibly groom, he's going to be a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
But I think he's somebody who, when you're looking at 6th and 7th round picks, it's like you're a valuable member of the practice squad and you could earn a roster spot.
Absolutely.
And so I think he's somebody who's in that spot.
I do think we have an honorable mention. Kamara, we talked about you earlier. You are still our guy. We still appreciate you.
Should we just start a trend of like we will mention Muhammad Kamara in every pod
to
until
bring
the
it
draft?
to fruition?
Yeah,
until it actually happens.
Muhammad Kamara, you are a Charger.
You are a Charger.
Please,
please come on down.
please pick 110. Trade Keenan Allen away for a reason. Make it worth it.
110.
And if he sucks, I will die on that sword. Like, I will be fine with that. I will live with my decision.
I'm going to start writing his name on my diary right now. Kamara.
Seriously.
No, yeah. Honorable mention for him. But yeah, we keep mentioning him. But I do like his physicality, and he can drop in Jesse Minter. I think he's definitely a perfect 110 pick to drop into Jesse Minter's defense. So.
Yeah, when you look at that linebacker spot, that outside linebacker spot, and it's like, okay, they're going to be pass rushing 60% of the time, and then 40% of the time they're dropping into coverage or pulling off disguises, and you look at Muhammad Kamara's like 88.4 PFF grade and dropping into coverage on like 70 snaps, like
deal.
Did not see that in his game. When I go watch him, I'm looking for him as an edge rusher, and I'm not even really paying attention to his coverage.
Oh, yeah.
And then I go back and see that, and I'm like, what did I miss? And have to go back and watch it. So
He tried to ruin Deion Sanders.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So yeah, big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Perfect.
But that'll wrap us up for today. We'll see as we keep getting closer to the draft. Hopefully more news and information comes out. And then that Friday morning when we release our day after the draft episode, we're either going to be crying or screaming of joy. It's going to be a big day, but we're only 4 weeks away.
Anyway. I'm just going to cry.
I'm going to cry no matter what. If it's Neighbors, if it's MHJ, if it's trade back. Like, the only way I don't cry tears of joy is if we draft Roma Dunze.
If we draft Romo Dunze or take Blake Corum in the 2nd round, I probably will not show up for the podcast that day.
No, we're just going to record that night drunk right here, real sad. Just drunk tears flowing, man. Like, Roma Dunze, I like you as a person. Don't be a Charger.
Yes. Maybe we go to school and become a GM at some point. Just drop everything I can.
Just to make sure this never happens again. Anyway, thank y'all for coming. These were Nature's Calls. I'm your host, Nature. This is Steven the Glove Glover. And have a good night.